We're not promising anything great tonight. The name of the show is Another Depressing Show. We'll try to excite you and entertain you, but we promise nothing. The show's getting started in 20 seconds. Yay!
Woohoo!
So, on a positive note, Randy,
yes.
A team who's consistent and winning,
yes.
Popped up. Randy, always appreciate to see you, man. Hope
Thank you,
everything
Randy.
is going well.
We appreciate you. Yes.
Yep. We were gonna have Randy on the show before the Georgia and Tennessee game, but if we continue at this rate,
what's the whole point? Yeah.
What's
the whole point of that?
No, we definitely got to touch base with Randy in the future. It'd be nice to have somebody on whose team is still winning.
Yeah.
Thinking about the Ohio State Buckeye, check it in. How are we doing tonight, Alpha?
Good evening, Alpha.
Lady Alpha to you, Raj.
Lady Alpha, I'm sorry.
Yes,
my bad.
And the Buckeyes are showing up early. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison had a big game, so now they're alive. They're out here.
Yeah. So we had a vote before the show. Raj wanted to talk about the game. I wanted to pretend like it never happened. But since he's the star of the show, he gets 2 votes. So
I still want to pretend it never happened, but I feel like we would be doing a disservice to everyone if we didn't discuss what happened on Saturday evening in Tuscaloosa. So where do you want to start at? What do you? So many different thoughts going on. I have no idea where to start at.
I think because I'm tired, I have more of a rant than anything else.
Okay,
like.
Well, let's start with that.
I am tired, and a lot of us generated our own fan base. I'm so tired, and it's it's a byproduct of winning. Obviously, you win championships, and then everyone gets this way. But I'm just tired of okay, we lost the game. The sky is falling. Should we fire everybody whose fault is it?
Yeah.
You just can't go through every season thinking you're going to win every game.
Right.
It's like people are acting like our last title was 20 years ago. There's nobody out there that's going to feel sorry for you. Yeah, we got beat by a better team. Just learn to deal with it. So it's not even an SEC loss. So all your goals are still in front of you. Know? So it's exhausting to sometimes deal with the fan base when it comes to that. I'm like, look, everybody else is going to take their shots because we're kind of like the villain of college football. I've learned to accept that. Georgia wins 2 titles in a row and people still hate Alabama. It's just like
I think it's because if 10 years from now, whatever the case may be, if Georgia three-peats or whatever the case, then Georgia will start to take on that load that we've been handling for a while. But maybe
but I kind of
look at it, Alabama. And I even told you this. I look at it like for so long, I used to hate the New England Patriots, not just because they were in the AFC East, but because they won all those Super Bowls with Tom Brady. And I used to hate them. And I wasn't the only one. I think the only New England Patriots were people that lived in the New England area of Massachusetts.
Correct.
So I think we kind of took that mantle for college football since we kept winning and winning and winning. The people just started disliking Bama. Whenever Bama would lose, everybody would go crazy. People in the media and the world's coming in. It's over for Nick Saban. Blah 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 blah. Georgia, like I said, Georgia may get to that point if they keep winning. Especially, like I said, if they win 3. What if they won 4 in a row? People are going to be like, okay. But now next year, obviously, they have the 12-team playoffs. Maybe that might change things. I really don't think. I think the final 4 teams are still going to be the best 4 teams. With that being said, Saturday was just a disaster on both sides of the ball for Alabama. I went on Facebook and stuff afterwards, and people were like talking about Milroe. Was part of the problem Milroe? Yes, but he wasn't the only reason we lost. Our secondary gave up a lot of passing yards, a lot of deep touchdowns. Offensive line, I had no idea what the offensive line were doing. They just decided not to block. Prior to the game, I think they were talking about how big our offensive line. They're averaging 6'5", 330, 340. Cool, but it doesn't help if you can't block if you don't have that lateral movement. We gave up about 5 sacks. I think we fumbled a few times. The interceptions that Milroe threw were just – the worst part about those interceptions wasn't the interception. It was the replay. Once you saw the passes and you were just thinking like, bro, like what were you –
Yeah.
These are just ill-advised passes. The one that he threw
– the second one was just like a backbreaker.
Yeah.
You look at it and I was like, what was the receiver supposed to do here? Like, were you tossing it to that guy? Did you owe him money? Was there a bet before the game?
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out, and it just got to a point in the game where Texas realized that we were just going to keep running the ball, especially when we got down. They're just going to keep running and running, and we'll pass every once in a while. And the deep ball passes, though, obviously those work, but it was the shorter passes that Milroe just had trouble with. I don't know. I guess that's my rant. It sucked to see it, but it's just like you said, it is part of the game. When you look at the upside, it wasn't a conference loss, so we still have a chance to make the a good chance to make it to the SEC championship game. However, we have a tough uphill battle to climb. We have some tough games coming up, especially when conference play starts. Specifically, that A&M game in College Station. That's going to be a heck of a game. And obviously, if we lose one, then there goes the playoff. Yep. So I don't know. I'm trying to look at the upsides, trying to see what we're going to change for this Saturday. What do you think we should do for Saturday to change anything?
So here's the problem. Saturday you have an outmatched opponent.
Right.
So whatever you do is going to look great.
Right.
It's kind of like the Middleton, it's fool's gold.
Right.
So the realities of the situation is you had a great run of quarterbacks, and now you have Milroe, who's now up to his fourth start. What was this? His third start he just had. His fourth start's going to come up. He's not like he's more, closer obviously to Jalen Hurts when Jalen Hurts first started.
Right.
And then you had some great passers, after them. And then Jalen really developed into a great passer. So it's, there's a lot. You're not going to see what you really need to see this weekend. I think that's the problem. You're going to see it kind of more against like Ole Miss, who might game plan against you and has a great offensive coordinator versus anything else. So I
agree. And no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, well, I was going to post a question that came out. So they are still attracting premium talent. That's not the problem. I don't think they have navigated the attitudes of NIL players as well as some other students, but the recruiting classes are all still top five.
We have no problem there. Yeah.
And we have new blood as offensive coordinator. I think in this case, I would have had our offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, the last 3 years versus just this 1 year. I think had he had Milroe with him like all that time, then it would have been great versus like just coming in this town. So,
and it was funny. Speaking of Tommy Rees, there was one shot of him in the game where he just had his hat off his head. He had his hand on his forehead and his hair. He was just like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Well,
that pretty much summed up how all Alabama fans were feeling right then. Yeah.
Well, I think there's so when Milroe was his strength is his legs. Everyone knows that.
Right.
But there are several times he escaped the pocket and missed somebody wide open on a deep ball.
Yep.
Instead, he threw short or whatever. Yep. Right. And then there were several times he ran into a sack.
Yep.
So it had good blocking. So he's just still learning the game. That's the problem. So
you
have a couple of Ryan Roberts that hey, have a great show, guys. We appreciate
that.
And not every non-Bama fan still hate Bama. Well, we don't run into many of them that don't. So then he also gives you the Texas A&M's not great. But
I think it's more about being in a road game.
Yeah, that's we even when we had Bryce, we played down to people's level. So that's our fear. And Randy. We let you down. Randy, no matter how much they let you down, they let us down even more.
Yeah, that was hard. That was a tough pill to swallow.
Yep. And we got a couple of Ohio State comments up there. I'll get back to those when we go into maybe like your top five or talk about the rest of the team. So I didn't miss those comments. And that's the other thing that really gets me. It's not – it's always, like not bad, but I get so many texts and comments and posts after hey, are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Bro, this does not. So here's what's happened. Every year, the time period has shortened how long I pout after a game. It used to be 30 minutes. When we lost against Ole Miss, those back-to-back years, I was at 30 minutes. On Saturday, I was about 2.5 minutes. Now, a little friend called tequila, water and milk. Water. Definitely have, in case mom and dad are watching, some good milk.
I share those sentiments 100%. It's like back in the day, I used to get so furious when we lose, didn't want to talk to anybody. Now it's just like, me and you will talk immediately after the game about the game and just what went wrong. And then it's just like, oh, well, you just move on with your night, watch some more games, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and you see what everybody's talking about. So it's just, I don't want to say it, but we're not getting used to losing, but we've accepted losing better than we did in the past.
Yeah. And I don't like to use the term accept losing. We're never going to accept losing. We will always hate it.
Yeah.
We've decided it's not going to affect the rest of our lives.
Right.
So, like, if anything else happens, like, I'm good.
Right.
But some good tequila definitely helps. So.
It does. It always does.
Yeah. So, I mean, going forward, like I said, you've got to show improvement. You're not going to see it this next week. You know, we'll probably look great, and everybody will think everybody's great. Ole Miss is a little bit more of a barometer, and then once you get into the heart of the schedule, that's really where you're going to see. But they've got to understand everybody's going to attack Monroe the same way.
Yep.
So if he's the starter going forward, that's it is what it is.
So do you start him Saturday?
Yeah, you kind of have to at this point. Like,
why do you have
starting if he's the guy who won the job?
Yep.
Starting one of the other guys against an inferior opponent doesn't show you anything either, because Rod's like, the line right now is Bama by 32, so you're expecting like one of us could go. Well, I got a bum knee, but you could probably go in QB and still like win this game.
But I guess the reason I'm asking is how do we ever get a barometer on the other quarterbacks to see how good they're going to be if they're only getting garbage time? And that's like maybe you play them in the second half or something like that. You know, maybe you see sometime and still run the offense, but there's just no way to know it unless it's against a good opponent. So you really have to go to practice and stuff. So and this is what it is, perspective. At the end of the day, we're not out there practicing playing. We can't impact the outcome. That's true. That is
true.
I
did what I changed clothes down to the underwear, and that didn't help. What? I meant down to my socks. Okay. So I did my part. Okay. That's the best I can do. So.
I was on daddy duty. I was here by myself with just the twins. So I was just holding one of them on and off, watching the game. It is hard to contain your frustration when you're holding a toddler. I'm sitting there holding one of them just like, but what can you do? What can you do? What can you do?
Yep. Oh, I don't know if I should post that next.
I don't think we should. Shout out to Hoda. We got you, but we're not gonna post that one.
That's just a bad situation going on right there. So if I'm on the field, I can't lose sleep over loss of time. I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Somebody asked me the next day, "Did you sleep okay last night?" I was like,
I slept like a baby.
I had plenty of water all day, so I slept great. I had some premium H2O with a little bit of salt and lime.
Oh yeah. And to get back to the question, I guess I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else start. It wouldn't bother me to see another quarterback start. I understand what you're saying. Once you have a starting quarterback, you got to stick with that guy. But I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else start. I don't think it would hurt us. But then again, as you mentioned, what is it going to tell us when we're favored by 32? I mean, Ty Simpson or Tyler can go out there and have an excellent game. That doesn't mean anything until we play Ole Miss, Mississippi State, or A&M. But I don't know. I hope that Milroe can kind of, I hope they watch a lot of film and talk to the OC, talk to Reese, and kind of figure out what went right, what went wrong. And yeah.
Well, because I was only drinking water all day. They're
fine. Fantastic.
Totally fine. Fantastic. Premium H2O, bottled water. So purified water at that. So, and if you haven't tried your water with a little bit of salt and lime, you are missing out.
Water, salt, and lime. I haven't tried that. I'll admit I have not tried that.
So, and there's the counterpoint. Someone else just see how they react in a game situation, how they read it, even in the inferior one. Like I said, I disagree just because it's an inferior team. It's kind of like what you got in the first game. Everybody thought, maybe Milroe was farther along than he was because we were playing an inferior team. So I think anybody against South Florida will probably look pretty good. You'd have to think that if they played with the number 2s and played against the number 1 defense in practice, that's a better game situation for them than it is, against South Florida.
But the one point I did like about that comment though is something that I wanted to kind of get some more knowledge about is how they read a defense, because Milroe, like I said, on his deep balls, and let's be honest, on deep balls he's just standing in the pocket in one spot and just waiting for some receiver to make to finalize the route and throwing it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to reading a defense, he's something's missing there.
I was waiting for Mike to make this one because this is a point that he made during the game. Milroe is just too much like all or nothing right now. If that one guy that he's looking for gets open, that guy's getting the ball.
Yep.
If that guy don't get open,
then he's
just kind of screwed right now.
Yep.
So that's really the problem. So
yep.
Yep. And I agree with this too. There's way too much chatter coming from the line of scrimmage with not a lot. And I guess because we grew up, we're old, so we grew up before all this stuff. Yeah. Like players didn't get on there and chat and do all this stuff, and now, now they get on Twitter and they post different stuff and they talk about stuff, and it's like, yeah, get into the game and do it. And yeah, Mike, that's why I was waiting for that one. Like, it's been all or nothing. So,
yep.
We'll get into some other games. Raj, let's do a surprise top 5 from you.
And this is a surprise. I know about the top 5. I don't know what the category is. So
okay, you ready?
I guess so. Let's do it.
Top 5 teams in the nation right now. And as Raj always says, this is in no order.
College.
Georgia,
number 1. And this is this is in order, but Georgia. I'm going to say Michigan, Florida State. I put Texas up there because they beat us, and you know what? Part of me wants to say for entertainment, just say Colorado, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't put them top 5 yet because I don't think they played really. I don't think they played too many great teams. TCU was a national championship game, but their defense is absolutely horrible. So for the 5th team, I guess I'll go with USC right now.
Over Ohio State?
Yeah, I'll go with USC because I'm still questioning Ohio State's quarterback situation. I know he looked good in the second game. The first game, it was kind of weird, but I'll still take Caleb Williams, and I think he's probably the best quarterback in the country, obviously. So I'll take USC, but obviously this might change within the next few weeks when some big games coming up.
Right. And that was just that was your Ohio State people back then. They still have work to do.
Yep.
And Jennifer says she's always been out there. So as far as Ohio State fans. So got that. Give me a sleeper that is not in the top 10. I'd have to see who's actually in there because I think Washington's top 10. That's a team that kind of maybe under the radar scares.
Washington's 8. Washington's number 8. Yeah. So okay. So Tennessee, Utah, Oregon, LSU, Kansas State. Hey, Colorado's sitting at 18.
But I'd have to wait until they play USC and play.
I think they play Oregon first.
Oregon and then USC back-to-back weeks, I believe. So that's who I would have to wait for.
Yeah.
Like I said, Washington would be a tough one. Utah's an interesting one just because of okay. So I'm gonna go your sleepers. I'm going Pac-12.
Utah,
Oregon, and Utah.
Okay.
Are both two teams barely outside of the top 10, but both tough teams. Utah, I think, is a little more physically tough. Oregon has the better offense, but I also feel like the Pac-12 was really going to beat up on each other. So that's what's really going to slow down. So
Colorado hosts Colorado State this Saturday, but then on the 23rd they go to Oregon. Now that's going to be a huge game.
Right.
So that'll really put Colorado to the test.
Yeah, Michigan has played BS teams, but I don't think anybody like Ohio State hasn't played anybody great yet. But I think even by Ohio State fans' admission, they haven't looked great yet. So and the beauty about the whole Michigan versus Ohio State thing is they play each other at the end of the year. So like sometimes when I put my top 5, I put both those two teams. I think Penn State is supposed to be your sleeper, but they never beat Ohio State or Michigan. So I still see both teams going undefeated, and whoever wins that game is going to the playoff.
And you have to understand, like, game 1 of any season is always kind of rough sometimes for some teams. Like, even if you're playing a much more inferior opponent, you might not beat them as bad as people think you are because it's your first game of the season. You're still trying to work a few kinks out. And then now game 2, 3, 4, obviously that's when you should start getting better. So, Ohio State hasn't played anybody. I don't think Michigan has either. So,
So, like I said, that's one of those. It's like Kennard situation. I don't really worry about it. Like, they play each other at the end of the year. So, I don't think there's anything after game 2 to really get upset about. So
and I kind of like.
I think there's another comment about it. We're not giving anybody any credit. We're just saying like not necessarily top 5. So saying you're a top 10 team and not top 5 is not like a knock on your team. It's just saying that. So, Colorado baby from Mike. You got to believe now. If they beat USC and Oregon, I'll believe.
If they beat Oregon, I think they'll be somewhere around the top 10. If they beat Oregon, so because they're going to beat Colorado State. We know that. So.
Utah's problem the past couple of years has just been they play bad on the road and lose games that they shouldn't be. That's why they're back-to-back Pac-12 champions, but haven't sniffed the playoffs. They lose a game they shouldn't lose somewhere. Then somebody else loses a game they shouldn't, and all of a sudden, that's they win the Pac-12, they get in it, but they're nowhere near the playoffs because they always have 2 or 3 losses at the end of the year.
Yeah,
so that's the problem. So, all right. What other game? So you watched the Colorado game. Was there anything else that really stood out to you college football wise this past week?
Let me see. Georgia had a pretty dominant victory. Florida State still. I didn't watch the Florida State game, but from the stats and watch some of the highlights, Florida State's looking good. Jordan Travis is a monster. As the younger kids say, he is him. So Florida State's looking really good. I hate to.
I'm going to edit that part out when we.
I know. I hate to give it to Quinn Ewers in Texas, but Quinn Ewers look really, really good. I think that game kind of really, really helped out his draft stock as well. I think I saw Mel Kiper's top 10 QBs in this upcoming draft. And I think Quinn Ewers was 6 or 7, maybe 6. But I think as the season
the top 5 all Pac-12 quarterbacks?
No, Mel Kiper's projected NFL draft, 2024 NFL draft.
Right, but you said he was the number 5 quarterback or number 5?
I think he was the number 5 or 6 quarterback. I had to pull up the list because I know
that's what I'm saying.
Caleb Williams. It was Caleb Williams, Drake May, and then I honestly don't remember the list.
I forgot about Drake May. Yeah, I'm just saying that because the Pac-12 was really strong.
Yeah. Well, they had Bo Nix on there, Michael Penix, and then of course Quinn Ewers was in the middle of the pack. But I think if he continues to have a solid season, I mean, Texas can win the Big 12. But like I told one of my coworkers today, it seems like every year Texas loses 1 or 2 games that they probably shouldn't have lost. So they have to avoid doing that this year.
Yep. So you got 2 more jumping in here late. Offenses 2 Boomer. Yep.
Shout out to Bama Beat.
Kind of Bama Beat usually comes on beginning of the year to break stuff down, and then he's busy. Did I tell you I saw him on TV the other day signing autographs? Popular guy.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Wow. Wow.
Can't sustain drives. It's kind of like what Mike was saying too. Boomer bust as far as that goes. Yeah. First O-line and the running game, and that's what you could tell it killed the running game.
Yeah,
for sure. So
yeah, and I think Texas got so used to it, knowing that we were going to run the ball anyway. They were ready for it.
Yep.
And I already mentioned it earlier. The O-line just looked horrible and really, really sloppy and undisciplined. Not to mention, and we didn't even bring up the penalties. There were so many penalties Saturday. It was just.
But some of those penalties was because he scrambled and nobody knew what was going on. And you could kind of tell what penalty was coming because people are like, are you taking off this time? Are you still trying to pass? We don't know what's going on. And so some of those I forgive. A lot of them I don't. We're just not as disciplined as we were in the past. So, honestly have not seen Cincinnati this year. I'm interested in them with the coaching change and the move to the Big 12.
Yep.
They've got Oklahoma coming up in a couple weeks. BYU, I'm not sure about that game, but then Iowa State with a good defense, Baylor, Oklahoma State. So I think you're going to find out more against Cincinnati, find out more about Cincinnati this year. I think what's the problem for Cincinnati and a lot of the Big 12 is a lot of the teams are evenly matched there. And so I don't know that you're outside of Texas if you're going to see a good front runner. So
yeah, Cincinnati put a whooping on Eastern Kentucky 66-13, and then they actually won a decent game. They went at Pitt and won 27-21,
which is an underrated victory because I think Pitt is not shown as high as they should be. So and then I think obviously they win this one against Miami, Ohio coming up this weekend, and then the game against Oklahoma I think will be a good test for Cincinnati. So
I agree.
If they win that game and they miss Texas on the schedule, if I'm reading this right. So I think if you beat Oklahoma, you've got an excellent chance of making the Big 12 championship game.
Yep.
So, and Brian says we about to show them Cincy, that is. So, and then Bam Beat comes back. Agree on the O-line penalties. Yeah, O-line doesn't know. Yeah, and I think that's. But like I said, we're talking about his deficiencies, but he hasn't had that many starts, and I still feel like the Bill O'Brien years were lost years. Yeah. So it's I feel like his development should be further along. If he had been with Tommy Rees all these years. So
the problem is the window for that room of development is so small and so tiny. That window was basically this off season and then the 8-day game. That's really it. Once the regular season starts, we don't have time to. I hate to say it, we just don't have time to sit here and say, hey, can he play? Can he play? Yeah. And I do like the fact that we played Texas game 2 to kind of give ourselves a good barometer of where we're doing well at and where we're not doing well at. So we know what changes need to be made.
Yeah.
We're playing South Florida Saturday, so I don't see any issues there.
Yeah. Okay. Where we're doing well at is fan attendance. The atmosphere is great.
Yeah.
What we need work on is everything else. So that's your breakdown.
Yeah.
So
So
oh, by the way, thank y'all for all the comments. Whether you agree or disagree with us. Raj and I have been very busy this past week. This is probably the least amount of notes I ever made for a show. So see that page?
Hey, this is all I got right here.
So we definitely appreciate that. And here's a personal one. So Justin Whitley on the Bearcats' family. Okay. I will. You know what? We're going to make a note.
We will look into this gentleman. Hit him up on Twitter or something.
He is officially a friend of the show, so we'll send him a T-shirt.
Yes.
Just not with Rogers' face
T-shirts,
on it.
but yes. Okay.
Yes. We still got to get on some T-shirts, though.
We do.
So, I think it was a good breakdown as far as college football wise. Have you even looked at the games for this week? We haven't done our college pick segment. So
this week is going to be a pretty slow week, to be honest with you. Like I said, there's no really great Florida State at Boston College. I don't think that's going to be competitive. No. LSU at Mississippi State. LSU's favored by 9.5. That might get interesting. Other than that, Georgia hosts South Carolina. Unless Spencer Rattler just comes out there just throwing the ball, that's going to be Georgia's going to dominate that game. So I think this is going to be one of the slower weeks in college football.
Of course, a week where I have nothing to do and I'll be sitting at home, and that's where I'm going to see nothing.
I mean, in years past, Tennessee, Florida would have been the game to watch this weekend, but we know where Napier and Florida is right now, and it's just not it. And then
Raj, you know what scares me about that game is Florida, like Tennessee's only a 7-point favorite or 6.5.
That is weird. Because
I'm like sitting here thinking it's.
But Tennessee were struggling with Austin Peay last week, so maybe that has something to do.
Yeah, but like second game, so. I always say this, right? There was a game that I played one time, and obviously it's soccer, so it's not and it was high school. But I remember playing Hillcrest, and everybody was like, "You guys should kill them. This should be like 8 or 9-0." And you know how that is in soccer. That's that's like 70 to nothing.
Yeah.
I remember just being on the field, and there was no energy, and I was just kind of like. And we knew we had a big game the next week, and so nobody was really into it. And the fans are yelling and screaming. It's like one of the few times I could hear every fan because usually I got into it and I didn't care. I could hear everything, and I was like, I just couldn't summon up the energy. And that's how sometimes I look at those games. You got Florida on tap. Even if we think the game is nothing, Tennessee's still going to take it seriously.
Yeah,
I just can't see them getting excited for Austin.
No.
Austin Peay came to collect their paycheck and go home. So.
Now, the good thing about Saturday is Saturday night, 9 p.m., Colorado State, Colorado. I don't think it's going to be competitive, but
it won't.
It's for me, I wouldn't mind watching Colorado play. So
I'll be up for that. My bedtime is 10 though, so I'll probably only catch in the first hour. So, but yeah, I like week. So this one I didn't put on the radar just because there's a lot going on in Michigan.
There's a lot of
now, and didn't realize this investigation has been going on for like a year. So
I didn't realize that either. I didn't know anything about this until it came out the other day.
And that's really why I haven't commented as much. It doesn't seem like we're getting a lot of facts yet. There's a couple things sprinkling out here or there. And then I don't agree with this, but it seems like both parties agreed to this. The trial or whatever the hearing is not going to be until Michigan State's bye week. And it's not labeled as, hey, let's have it during the bye week. It's labeled as this is the week of October. We're going to have the hearing. So I don't agree with that.
How much power the football program has.
Right. But you read the article and it says both sides agreed to that. I don't know how much pressure. I just don't know enough yet about it. And I was reading the whole article, today at work while I was taking a break. So trying to get a little more information, so we can say. But obviously, the things he's accused of are ridiculous and terrible. And I don't get some of these guys in powers when they go for that, but that's neither here nor there. I wish it was a quicker resolution. I think everybody deserves a quicker resolution, but until October comes out and we get more facts, it seems like we just won't know more.
Yeah.
So I think it's an unfortunate situation all the way around, though. So, all right, Raj, you want to talk a little NFL?
Let's do it.
So, how'd your fantasy team do this week?
My fantasy team.
And Raj and I are in a league together.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't lose to Herb. I did lose to somebody else because My team did all right, but my opponent had Tyreek Hill on her team, and Tyreek Hill gave out 44 fantasy points, and there was just no coming back from that.
Yeah.
So
I had Brett Favre Jr. as my starting quarterback.
Brett Favre Jr.
Yes.
Well, speaking of that, is that where you want to start at when it comes to the NFL?
Yeah. Well, I will say I did win my fantasy. So somehow I ended up with Calvin Ridley and Austin Eckler on all three of my teams. And of course, the first thing
they both
Austin
had
Eckler
good
did
weeks.
Yeah, they both had good weeks, but Austin Eckler now has an ankle injury, so he's day to day.
Oh wow!
So I'll be tanking soon.
How long is he out for? Did they say?
They just says day to day.
Okay.
That's what day to day means. Like every day they're going to check.
I see. I didn't hear you say day to day. That's why I asked.
So
it's not a
we can
start
start with last.
It's not one of those minute-to-minute injuries.
What?
It's not one of those minute-to-minute injuries.
No, not minute to minute. Yeah. Right. So those are those injuries that every husband gets when their wife asks them to do something.
Wow.
Sorry, babe. Sprained my pinky.
He said it. He said it, not me.
Yeah. And this hurts. Discuss the NFL when my team scores a point. Go Big Blue.
Oh yeah. Shout out to you. The Giants lost. Let's leave it at that.
Discombobulated.
Yeah.
That was just bad.
Why did they leave Daniel Jones in there? They were losing 40-0. Why leave him in there just to get slaughtered some more? I don't get it.
Because they paid him the big bucks. They said, "Hey, you gonna get a big contract. You gonna stay out there.
You're gonna take these hits."
So,
yeah.
So, so you do have the yes. Let's talk some NFL, maybe, and fantasy football. Yep. I went 1-0 on all three of mine. So if I can do it, anybody can definitely.
Congrats.
So sorry, guys.
I guess.
So started with last night. Did you actually get to watch the game? Oh, actually, you did because I got the alert from you.
Yes,
I was still at work last night. So I get wow.
Yeah.
And then ESPN texts me the news, and I'm like,
yep.
First off, Rod should be working for ESPN if he's going to be quicker than you guys on getting me out stuff. So.
Well, I'm also with the Bleacher Report too, so I get their alerts pretty quickly. But for those who have been living under a rock, there was this big buildup. Obviously, was
what's wrong with? Are we insulting people who live under rocks?
No, but if you do live under a rock, maybe you need to adjust your living means and your living terms and conditions, and kind of figure out maybe somewhere else to go. But there was a big build up to the game. It was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers' first game. It was Aaron Rodgers' first game as a New York Jet after all his great years in Green Bay. And I was looking forward to it too. The old Jets organizations, all the Jets fans were. Fourth snap, but unfortunately on the fourth snap of the game, it looked like he hurt his ankle at first, but later on we found out he tore his Achilles. And obviously, when you tear your Achilles, he's going to be out for the year. And I guess one of the questions that I wanted to pose to you before we get into anything else is that the last we've seen of Aaron Rodgers? He will be 40 in December.
Yeah.
And then coming back from an Achilles injury. What do you think about that?
He's going to try and come back for one more year.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way he wants to go out.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, I don't think he wants to go out on those terms. He'll be back, but obviously this year is said and done. So, the Jets now have the almighty Zach Wilson as their starting QB. Let's give it to him. He pulled it out. He pulled it out last night. He
kind of pulled it out. The defense pulled it out in special teams.
And that catch by Garrett Wilson too. That was a heck of a catch. So I'll give it to him there. But me being a Miami Dolphins fan, obviously when I look in the AFC East, I think this injury kind of slides the Jets down to either third or if not last, because I'm going to be honest, New England didn't look as bad as I thought they would when they played Philly. Right. So I think the Jets and the Patriots are going to be vying for that last position. I don't know. What do you think about Buffalo? I think Allen threw 3 interceptions to Jordan Whitehead last night. I think he also had 1 or 2 fumbles.
I know it's early on. Thanks for reminding him, Raj. Appreciate that.
Because sorry about that. I know it's early on, but is Josh Allen's best year? Like, what do you think about Josh Allen right now? How do you think?
I have never, and obviously, stats don't back me up. I've just never been a huge Josh Allen fan because I think we see, the tantalizing prospects in the running game, and I just feel like we're giving him too much. And the Bills are like the kind of team, with the Bills Mafia and how generous they are and benevolent they are. I feel like sometimes we want to give too much love to them. Now, granted, they went out and got Stephon Diggs, but I don't think they've ever got a consistent number 2 behind him. But I just feel like we're trying to anoint Josh Allen sometimes without the accolades of some of the other guys who have at least either won an MVP or been to the Super Bowl, and we're trying to elevate him past that. I'm like, show me in the playoffs first before we actually try to say something about it. So
I agree.
That's my feeling with Buffalo. Which I guess here's a good time. Let me go get the stopwatch.
What's that?
I got to go find my stopwatch for you.
Okay.
I think now's a good time for the Dolphins minute.
Okay, I'll take it.
But we're gonna go a minute.
Let me know when to start. Yep. Yes, my lovely Miami Dolphins. Shout out to Dolphins Nation, fins up. Dolphins won 36-34, beat the Chargers on the road. The story of the day, well, I guess two stories, A and B. Story A was to his performance, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw an interception, which I didn't like, but so be it. It is what it is. And obviously Tyreek Hill, especially for the people who have fantasy, had Tyreek Hill on the fantasy team. Tyreek Hill had a monster game. I think 11 receptions with 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dolphins look good offensively. I think we have some things that we still need to work on defensively to kind of clean things up. But
like everything?
Yeah, like a little bit of everything. But week 2,
what is one thing y'all did well on defense?
We only allowed them to score 34, not 35 or 36.
Nice.
Okay. And keep in mind, I don't have that game in my area, so I did not watch the game. I just saw the highlights. So, whatever. Luckily for the Dolphins, we do play Sunday night. We play the Patriots in New England, so that game might be interesting based on how New England played against Philly. So that game could be interesting, but I think we're going to be okay. Miami's favored by 2.5. So, yes, shout out to Big Mike. Fins up.
Yep. This was about Brett Favre Jr. Yeah, he's going to try. He won't be able to perform. It's probably with an injury that late in his career, he probably should retire, but I just feel like he's going to try to come back.
Any chance the Jets reach out to Tom Brady?
Yes, definitely. They probably called him already.
I would. What's he going to say? He's not married anymore. He's like, shoot.
I ain't got nothing else to do. Wow.
And they don't need him to scramble that much. They got Breece Hall. You got Dalvin Cook. You've got your weapons in the air. Hey, we just need you to get rid of the ball.
So a game that in my pick'em, I actually took the Browns. And we're gonna real quick because we got 2 comments. At least since he took out Burrows, they hit it. And then the weather in Cleveland. Can you tell me the heck was wrong with Burrow? I think Cleveland defense is very, very underrated.
I agree.
You still didn't get a great performance yet from Deshaun Watson, so I think they've got to wonder, like, can he work back to where he was? But with the conditions, I don't think either quarterback is going to play great. But I think the Cleveland defense is just very underrated. I think they've been waiting. That's why they are willing to pay him so much money. They're just waiting for better quarterback play. But they don't necessarily need a lot of points every game because that defense is coming to play. And I think that's what it is. I think we talk about the Jets and Dallas, but obviously I have to look up stats, but I'm guessing that is top 5. And you could tell that somebody was, let's say, don't use the weather as an excuse. That's what I said. Both teams had it. Neither quarterback played very well. I said the defense is actually what played well. So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I think happened in there. So, what other games? You did watch the Sunday night. You did watch the Saturday
I watched the Sunday night. I watched the Monday. Well, the Sunday night, I watched some of it. It just got out of hand early, and it was just a really, really weird game. So I really didn't watch all that. I am a proud Cowboys supporter, so I do support them. Not necessarily a fan yet. Herb and I go back and forth about that. Other than that, I watched some of the 49ers Steelers game. The 49ers look good. Christian McCaffrey had a big day. I still think the 49ers have one of the best teams on both sides of the ball in football. And Brock Purdy, it seems like he's well respected in the locker room. Good quarterback. He can get the job done. Doesn't try to do too much, but it just does just enough to kind of help out the team. Were you surprised that the Broncos lost to the Raiders? I didn't think the Raiders even had a chance in this game.
No.
Okay.
I didn't watch enough of the game or only saw little highlights, so I could only tell you, am I surprised just because like Denver is just not good, and I think we're expecting Peyton to come in and just turn everything around, and I just don't think it's going to happen. And Vegas had they had a pulse at least last year.
Yeah.
So I think they might play some team stuff, but it feels like both those teams are clearly fighting for third in the division. Although, the Chargers just start off with a loss. It's not a it's not a division loss for them yet, so our conference loss, whatever the division loss. Sorry, so I don't see. I guess I just don't care. Even we were on a Super Show, Raj, and the guy who's the Raiders fan didn't have anything to say about the Raiders.
Right.
So it's like, and for Denver, you've got a sunk cost in Russell Wilson. You can't just move off of him early. So it's kind of, they're almost in no man's land. You would have been better off with the record you're getting, just keeping all those assets that you gave to them.
Yeah.
So, no, I wasn't surprised. I just, it was definitely apathy. And I was more, like you said, I don't do the NFL Sunday ticket. I was more following the Miami and the Chargers game.
Yeah.
And watching the Philly, New England. New England was just surprisingly a lot better. Mac Jones had
Mac Jones looked good.
Game. Yeah.
He looked good.
After throwing, so I think when every Alabama quarterback threw an interception over the weekend to get things started. So,
but with that said, I'm not really surprised Tua threw one, because I know Tua. Tua is he's got a cannon. He's slinging the ball all over the place. Yeah, that's just what he's going to do. So I'm not surprised he threw one, especially with him throwing the ball as much as he did. So I'm okay with that.
So how about you? Did you surprise how Jordan Love looked, or are you more surprised that?
I'm glad you brought that. I was extremely surprised on how Jordan Love looked. There was a lot of obviously there's a lot of pressure on him being the next guy since Aaron Rodgers is gone, and I don't think we saw. He was decent in preseason, wasn't great, but again, it is preseason. I didn't know how he was going to perform, and then again, they didn't play the Bears. I thought the Bears would play.
No offense to any Bears fans out there. So.
No offense, but come on, it's the Bears. But yeah, to answer your question, Jordan Love looked really good. He looked very, very comfortable in the pocket. Threw for 3 touchdowns, 15 for 27, 245 yards. So I was really happy. And I think Packers Nation should be happy. I got to check out the Green Bay Packers schedule to see, who they play next. I don't know if or when they play Dallas, but anyway, so they play at Atlanta on Sunday. So that should be a pretty easy win. Right now, the line is Green Bay by 2, I guess, because it's a road game, and I don't know, the Falcons beat the Panthers, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yes.
With that being said, this might be an odd transition. Rookie quarterbacks. Who do you think looked good out of the rookie quarterback? Who looked the best?
The best?
Probably I think it was C.J. Stroud.
Stats wise, it seemed like Richardson for a minute until like the end. Bryce just never really looked comfortable. I had more of that game than any of the others. Threw a pick. It's kind of uncharacteristic for him. And C.J. Stroud was playing. Their defense played much better than their offense.
Yep.
So I think they had contained Baltimore for much of the game, but only come away with 9. So my answer is really none of them, to be honest. Richardson stats seem better at the beginning, but I'm used to a time when rookie quarterbacks didn't have to play that first year.
Right.
And then they're actually kind of attacking the system right now, talking about the way the draft is set up. They're how they get drafted to a bad team. They're not set up in a good situation.
Yeah.
So
you and I have discussed that several times.
Yeah, I get it, but having to play this early, somebody's mentioned CJ Stroud. I mean, he had to throw 44 times in this game. That's not good, but your offense only scores 9 points. I just think he's in a position coming to a terrible team. He shouldn't have to play this year. Right. Bryce Young should have to play this year, and Anthony Richardson certainly should have to play this year, especially with the way Jonathan Taylor is. So I like all 3 guys. Obviously, I was a huge Stroud and Young fan, so I'm glad they went 1-2, and I'm excited for their careers. I think Richardson has a lot more developing to do. So,
I watched the Houston-Baltimore game, and Stroud did look good. He looked good. I just think, to your point, though, he just needs some more weapons. He looked comfortable in the pocket. Once they get some more receivers and get a better O-line to kind of bolster things up and help protect, I think C.J. Stroud can have a really, really great career. The question is, when is this going to happen? How long is it going to take for this to transition? How long is it going to take for him to develop? And you don't want him taking so many sacks like somebody like Andrew Luck, who took a lot of beatdowns and eventually just said, I can't do this anymore. You don't want that happening.
And one thing I always say about to your point right there, there's two things that I think you have to draft when you draft a rookie quarterback: a great, O lineman, hopefully like left tackle, unless they're left-handed or whatever, and a number 1 wide receiver. And when I look around the rosters, I don't think either of those 3 guys that we're talking about has that on their roster. So it's kind of like you're being put in a bad position. You shouldn't have to play early. It just seems like it's too much against them. So all 3 guys look poised out there for sure. I'm excited. I don't have any hatred for any of them. Obviously, we're bigger Bryce Young fans than anything else, but I like CJ Stroud in college. So I hope all guys do well, but I also hope that this isn't one of those, hey, we're going to get beat down the first year and our confidence is going to get shaken. So
I do have one question. What is the story on Will Levis? Is he, and I know he's not, I'm assuming he's just not ready to go right now.
Yeah. I think they've got one more year of Tannehill, so they're willing to let him duke it out. But they also, Malik, they also drafted him high. Yeah. So
I think they're still trying to figure it out. 3 interceptions, so it's just kind of like I don't know what you're looking to get out of that. And
I told you how I feel about Tennessee. Tennessee was almost about to rebuild, and then they decided not to, and they go out to get like DeAndre Hopkins, but they don't really know what they're doing. They should have tried to get rid of Tannehill. I guess they couldn't get a good trade for Derrick Henry, so they kept him. But it just seemed like if you're going to spend, a third round and a second round pick on a quarterback in like back-to-back years, like you're ready for those two guys to take over, and you should just start to move on. So they're somewhere in the middle of, are we going to try and make the playoffs, or are we rebuilding? And that's just nowhere to be in the NFL. Yeah. So they lose an ugly game to New Orleans, 16-15. So catching up with your stuff real quick. Defense killed it. Yep. Like I said, I'd have to look at stats, but I feel like Cleveland's going to be like a top 5. This was I think about Denver picking them to make the playoffs. It just want Russell to be not. Yeah. It's just like, especially if you were a Seahawks fan. I know Bo from Football Talk with Bo. He's probably, I don't know if he's actually hated. I don't know if he's still tied to Russell Wilson, but this is just bad. Whatever he's got going on right now. And it's like, did he just lose it altogether? And then CJ, like I said, is the stats and the touchdowns in. But I agree. I think he needs an O lineman, and I think he needs a better. I feel like they got a rookie defensive head coach, D'Amico Ryans, and I don't feel like he wanted CJ Stroud. That's why they made the big trade.
He probably wanted Bryce Young. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like he wanted to build his defense first. I feel like that's where those 2 picks came from back to back. So. Obviously I don't know. He doesn't answer my phone calls, but that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like happened in that position. But all 3 of those guys, to go back to your original point, they need this next draft to really, really solidify what they got going around those guys.
Yeah. So. No, I understand. The defense didn't look bad. Gave up 25 points, but they didn't look bad. They're just really, really young. I think Will Anderson got his first sack, obviously, for his career in there. They look pretty solid. It's just, like you said, they're young on both sides of the ball. It's just going to take years for this team to develop, and I don't know, how long they're going to give D'Amico there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but if you're a Houston Texan fan,
I wonder if they're going to,
If you're a Houston Texan fan, like, what exactly are you expecting?
Well, you're probably, getting Will Anderson was great, but the trade to get him was probably terrible. Yeah. Because you're probably just traded the top 5 pick next year that you could use on some more assets, and you're not one player away from winning the whole thing. Right. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to perform going forward. So
I agree.
The only other games, Roger, really kind of sound. The Rams back throwing to random people.
Too early.
The Seahawks just look bad.
The Seahawks look bad, and the Rams. I mean, it's just too early to tell if the Rams are back, necessarily speaking. I think Stafford didn't look too bad. Well, let's see. He had 334 yards. So, I want to say I want the Rams to be good simply because last year I picked them to do really well, and they did really, really crappy. And I want to redeem myself.
How much of this stuff happens on this show is just personal to you?
I would say good 50 to 60%. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Okay. So your fantasy team and your picks are going to generate everything.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking of fantasy, Tua, I did not start Tua. I started Trevor Lawrence. And
you can't even be a Tua fan anymore if that's what you're gonna do. Where's Mike?
Even if I started Tua, I still would have lost because Tyreek Hill did so good.
You don't know that though.
Yeah, I calculated.
Maybe if you had started Tua, he would have performed better for you. You never know.
He would have thrown for what, 566 yards?
Yes. Okay. And maybe not all to Tyreek if you had just told him.
All right, one quick question. Do you think Tua throws for over 400 yards against New England?
No.
Okay.
I think they scheme something.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the running game goes off a little bit. But I think, first off, Tyreek going to have 3 people on him. So Tyreek is probably going to be less than 100. Waddle, if you have Waddle in any of your leagues, this is probably a good week for Waddle. But I feel like he's going to so the 2 Miami guys, neither one of y'all started Tua.
Because I said I have Trevor Lawrence, and Jacksonville played the Indianapolis Colts, so I'm
Give me your Miami card.
I'm thinking him and let's be honest, card. Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley had big games, so I didn't know Tua was going to do this.
Miami card.
You're never going to have my Miami card. Nope.
I'm driving. I'll be there in a month. I will take it.
Thank you. Can't wait.
All right. So we're getting down to the end of it. I do have to throw out one thing that you're going to be like, you probably won't care, but I'm going to say it. The WNBA playoffs start this week.
Okay.
I was rooting for Vegas.
Okay, because Kelsey Plum.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's my favorite player. Yeah. But New York's looking tough. Breanna Stewart somehow won like 4 college titles in 4 years and was the most outstanding player out here, and is still somehow underrated. But New York put together a super team, so they're going to be tough. I feel like it's going to be those two in the finals. Don't know if I'm ready to watch every game yet, but I will be rooting. And I don't know if Candace Parker ever came back for Vegas either, so it'll be interesting. But I might try to catch a little bit. So, it said Burrow didn't have have a training camp due to calf strain, so the snaps were not there. Yeah, but I don't know. I think last year he missed training camp. They still came out a little bit better against Pittsburgh. Yeah. So like I said, I just think that defense is a little better than people realize, and they might beat up on each other in that division. All right, Raj, you got some questions for me?
Do I? All right. Yes, I do. 3 questions of death for her. All right. I know we all know about what's going on in the New York Jets organization right now. So if you're the Jets GM, which one of these former Jets quarterbacks are you going to take to put on your team right now to fill the shoes of Aaron Rodgers? Geno Smith, Ryan Fitzmagic, or Mark Sanchez?
Oh my God! I mean, you got to go Geno Smith. He's the only one actually playing right now, right?
I mean, you take all these guys in their prime, in NFL prime, not just who's playing right now.
Still Geno Smith, but okay. Ryan. I mean, it would go in this order: Geno Smith,
Ryan, then Sanchez,
Fitzmagic, and then.
Is it because the whole thing about Sanchez is the butt fumble? That's the only thing I see.
It's the only thing I remember. I don't. If you told me, hey, did you know he won a Super Bowl and he was MVP? I'd go, no, I just remember butt fumble.
I remember the butt fumble. Yeah.
So that's like you're always remembered at your worst moment. So yeah, butt fumble. So.
All right. Next question. Okay, so before I talk about the question, for those of you who don't know, in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the Strip is like the part of the University of Alabama where
I thought you wanted.
Where it's on campus, where they have like a lot of the bars, places to go out, nightlife, etc. So let's just say they're getting ready to implement a candy shop. Yes, on the Strip.
Like they'll take you to the candy shop?
No, not that type of candy. Just candy. You can get chocolates, certain flavored Skittles, etc. Whatever the case may be. What would you name the shop, and which three either current or former Bama players would you want as the faces on that building of the shop? And what would you call the shop?
Okay. What 3 current players?
Current or former? I figured you would go with former because I don't know if you want Jalen Milroe on the.
Yeah. So the people on the billboard, I'm going Bryce Young. Okay. For sure. He's the center.
Yeah, that's an easy sell. Yeah, kids will fall in love with that face. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one. Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
It's an iconic, he always looks poised.
Everybody likes Jalen. Everybody likes Bryce.
Yeah. And then who is my third favorite? Because I like Devontae, but he's just not he's not with those 2 guys.
Yeah.
And I know you'd pick Tua, but
I'm not picking Tua. I just thought about who my third one is. I'll say it.
I'm gonna go Najee Harris.
Okay.
But that third spot, I might sell it in any moment.
I was thinking Quentin Williams with the smile, the big chubby cheeks and stuff.
I mean, he would definitely sell a candy shop.
What would you call the shop?
Come get your chocolate.
That is so lame. What? Nobody would go there. Where are you going? I'm going to come get your chocolate. No.
Raj, I'd have the women lined up around the block. I'm telling you.
Trying to get kids to eat candy, not
Oh, I misunderstood. You said strippers, and I was
I did not say strippers.
You said strip. Oh, my bad.
Oh gosh. let's just move on. You're gonna like this last question.
I like the second question.
Okay. Out of these three names I'm about to give you, who do you think would be the best football GM? Mom?
Our mom?
Yeah, our mother, my wife Sydney, or your wife Brittany. Who would be the best football GM?
Jeez. Well, not mom. She doesn't know any rules.
I think it's not necessarily the rules, but it's just more like their temperament and how they are, and like how do you think they would fit in that world?
Mom.
She would be the best one?
Yeah, because just you see how she is. She'd be like, all right, go out there and play, guys. Get together. And then at halftime, she'd be like,
you can't talk like that to grown men, though.
Listen to me, though. She would be encouraging. And then the second that they were bad, it would be like, hey, I'm coming down to you, wrath of God. So I could see her changing that up. The other two, I think they'd be more like first quarter fumble, pull them off. We're cutting them from the team. We're putting them in
Sydney would be more focused on the fashion aspect of everything. Like I don't like those colored uniforms. Can we change them right now? Like, no, you can't change it again. Okay, well, that's gonna make a priority right there. And then first thing in the meeting Monday, we need to get different colored uniforms. I don't like this.
Well, Britt would be fine.
I don't know what Britt would be doing.
She'd be cutting people in the first. Like in the
all
first
right,
quarter,
you suck. You're out.
Yeah. Milroe was she was on Milroe for the whole game. So why don't we get him out of there?
Oh man.
So it would be bad for the whole rest of that. So I just have to go with mom because she probably would be the most balanced. She would balance between encouragement and then we're firing everybody. So,
yeah.
Plus she had to deal with us all her life. So
that's true. That's true. Dealing with you is a lot.
Let's go get our chocolate.
I was definitely not expecting that answer.
By the way, nobody liked it. No.
Yeah. I see a lot of problems coming that way. Yeah.
There's a lot of lawsuits in our future. Yeah. All right, Ross. I guess we're gonna end a little bit early today.
Yeah. I think
this is kids to take care of.
As you mentioned, we didn't really prep for this one as much because
this was a wing it all the way. So
we were kind of hurt from Saturday's loss, so we just kind of. What is the pass for winged it or wung it?
We wunged it.
We wunged it? Yeah, we wunged it.
We were wunging it. All right, Rod. So for the Herbert Rod podcast, we appreciate you. Go check us out on YouTube as well, where we've got several videos coming up.
Yes.
Our college picks from last week, NFL, and of course,
Alabama versus
the world.
Yes.
Which is even better. Raj, any final thoughts?
No. Looking forward to the Thursday night game, NFL game, and of course, looking to see if the Tide can bounce back this Saturday against a tough South Florida team.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yeah.
And on that note, definitely check out Bama versus the World this week to see what South Florida comes up with. So,
yes.
For the Herbert Raj podcast, you've got a Go Browns and a good night.
Good night, Miss Lady Alpha.
Yep. And for all you guys that aren't reaching us, good night. It's like,
what's going on there?
We're disappointed in the rest of y'all. So thanks a lot, guys. All right. For Herb Raj podcast, Herb Raj, we will see you next week. As always, roll tide and
roll tide.
Go get your chocolate.
Don't do that.